So we just started fishing, and I threw up by the bank. We're in middle Georgia, middle of March, 63-degree water temperature at a new pond we'd never been to, and I'm throwing what's called a trick worm, and this little guy came up and ate it. We're not sure how big the fish are in this pond. It's a pretty new pond. That's obviously a little one, but we're really glad you guys are here with us today. We're going to be fishing a little bit, trying to find some fish. We think some fish are going to be on the bed. We'd love to bed fish a little bit, but we may not be able to do that because of the cloud cover and the cool. But this little bait I'm throwing right here is what we would call a search bait when they're on the bed. It's a trick worm. I'm going to teach you a little bit more about it later. But we're really glad you're with us today, and stay with us. What I'm basically using right now is called a Zoom trick worm. It's a 6-inch straight worm, and I'm fishing it on a 3/0 hook Texas rig with no weight. So I just put that front end on, curve it up, push it till that hook's laying flat on the back. Then I just skin hook it a little bit, and that's how you, and then I'll show you in the water the way you work it. You just jerk it 2 or 3 times, let it fall, jerk it 2 or 3 times, let it fall. And usually they hit it on the sink. And a lot of times if you're fishing clear water, you see the strike, which is pretty cool. There he is. Get out of the wood, get out of the wood, get out of the wood, get out of the wood. Oh, he threw it. I'm so worried about him getting, there's just wood everywhere. And tried to get that fish's head up so I could get him out of the wood. I just couldn't quite do it, so that was fun though. I'd like to have fun with one in the boat. I'll be one right. I'm still seeing him. There we go. Just got to be patient with him. I think he may be in another log down there. Yeah, I got him this time, I think. He'll stay hooked. Boy, it's so much. That was 4 casts on that one little spot, 4 fish on that one little spot right there. But you can see how he got it way down in the mouth. They ate it really good. And that thing balled up like it's supposed to. And I got that one out. Got pretty fish. Let him get really big. And then what you should be able to do is just pull that thing right back down on the hook like it was. They're usually good for 3 or 4 fish before you have to put another one on. Let's see if we can get another one back here. I got him. I think he came out of the wood. He was all up in the wood. That's the good and the bad of a pond with a bunch of wood. It has a lot of cover for the fish, but also has a lot of stuff for them to run into. Where you going, buddy? That's a pretty decent one right there, man. Come here, brother. Yeah, he's a fatty. Now we may still be a little early for the bed, because one of the telltale signs is their tails will be kind of torn up, and and that's clearly a male. But boy, they're healthy. They're fat, they're thick through here. Pretty color. We're gonna let him get 5 pounds. All right, so rigging a trick worm looks like this. I'm gonna come in this end with this is a 3/0 extra wide gap. I'm gonna come in until the hook turns, and I'll push it out. Important to be right in the middle. We'll come all the way over the hook, let it fall underneath the hook. Then I'm gonna push it completely over the eye of the hook like that. Now I want that hook to lay straight, so I'm gonna push it through where it laid on the side of the worm. I'm gonna bend it in, push it through. Now you can see it's laying straight. So I'm gonna back it up a little bit and just Barely hook it in the top of the worm, that way it doesn't hang on this stuff, but it's still straight. Really important for it to be straight, because if it's not, it whirls like a helicopter. You want it swimming and falling straight in the water. We started the day throwing a white floating worm and caught a few fish on it, but then it got kind of cloudy and a little bit breezy. We saw it as a great opportunity to throw a small buzzbait, so that's what we did. So what we're doing, we kept seeing fish blow up and it's cloudy, and we just decided to take advantage of this cloud cover, see if I could catch one on a buzzbait, and we just kind of started running the bank, and because it's one of the most fun ways to catch a fish. And he just kind of came up and ate it. He didn't blow up on it or anything, but I'm just throwing a little subtle 1/4 ounce, maybe be an 1/8 ounce buzzbait, but golly, that fish right there is about to pop. That's a nice one. See if we can get us another 1 or 2 on this buzzbait. And then what we'll do, we'll just fish what the conditions give us. That's what you always need to remember. If you ever watch the show, you probably realize we say that all the time. You have something in mind you want to do when you come, but the conditions give you something else, man, take it. If I have a chance to catch them on a buzzbait, man, I'm gonna take it. So we're gonna give them a shot on this thing while we still got cloud cover, and then when the cloud cover blows off later, we'll try something different. There he is. Yep, nice one too. Oh, he came off. I'll tell you what I'm probably gonna do too. These things are kind of short striking, and I've got a little small buzzbait I'm gonna put on what we call a trailer hook. I'll show you guys how to do that. So what I'm gonna do, this is actually a hook made as a trailer hook. You see it's got a bigger eye than a normal hook, so it'll go over your regular hook. And so that it swings free without coming off, I just have a little piece of plastic tubing that I cut about a 1/4 inch of, and I'm just gonna put it sideways over the hook and all the way back to keep it from coming off my other hook. And that holds that hook in place and lets it swing free. And that's what's called a trailer hook. You see it kind of dangles behind the skirt, and it'll hopefully help me not miss these fish. When I'm throwing this buzzbait, you want a couple of things. You want a reel that's pretty high speed so you can get it up quick and get it on top of the water. And the other thing you want is one with a pretty soft tip. It'd be about the same tip I'd throw a little small crankbait on or something, so you don't pull it out of their mouths when they come up, because it's really easy. It's so visual, it's really easy to pull it away from them. That's one thing you also always want to remember. Any kind of top water, if you can make yourself do it, give them, after the strike, give them just a second before you set the hook so they can get it in their mouth good. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of fish. I missed a fish on the small buzzbait, so I followed up with a white trick worm and caught that fish. You see him down there? I think I'm hung though. No, he's still on. He's still on. He's still on. He is all in that tree too, but he's on. Oh, nope. I don't think. Nope. Ah, doggone. Oh, yeah, he is too. Yeah, he is too. Oh, shoot. I don't know how I'm going to get him, Alex. He is all in that tree. Boy, this is what we in bass fishing call a conundrum. Come here, sorry. All right, y'all ready for this? Come here, come on. The problem is my boat is pushing down the log. All that for a pound fish, but that's okay. He could have been a 5-pounder. But I'm gonna tell you what we did. Boy, what a pretty fish. We came through and he blew up on the buzzbait, and I made a mistake and pulled it away from him. But you always want to have something tied on like this white worm or a fluke or something. And I followed up about 5 minutes later, literally. He was still there and he ate it. Of course, he got me in a tree, but we got it back. There he is. Keep him up out of the stuff. Get his head up. Get up, dog. Nope, he got me in it. He got me in it, but I'm gonna get him out of it. Oh. Man, it's crazy the kind of cover in this lake. Normally I like fighting them a little bit more, but golly, they will get all in that stuff if I let them. Boy, that's a pretty fish too. And if you can see what caught, oh, now when that's happening, when you see fish doing that, that's a male fish getting ready to go on the bed. But he ate it good enough, he actually got both of the hooks, but you can see that trailer hook's the one that really did the business on him. Yep. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? I gotta go get him. I gotta go get him. Did you see what he did? He pulled me around the stump, and now he's all up under it. Why can't they hit out here in open water? I don't understand. But that was fun. I think it's a pretty good one too. I can see him all up under that stump. I just gotta see where I'm tangled in it. Oh golly, it's a nice one too. I got him. I got him. That's the biggest one of the day right there. I'm gonna come around here. Man, that is so much fun watching them come up and get that thing. And then your heart just goes crazy when they get in that stuff. Get that joker. Now that fish was not coming off. I might have broken my bait on that stump, but he was not coming off. Now that fish though, it's a prime example of what I was talking about earlier. That fish is either on a bed or getting ready to go on a bed. See how torn up that tail is? And sometimes they'll come up off a bed and hit something like that to guard their beds, but see that there too. That fish has definitely been fanning. So we're gonna let him do it. There he is. He's right up there where he's supposed to be, around the wood. So kind of what's going on with us, we came out to this lake wanting to sight fish. Don't think they're quite on the bed yet. And we had some good cloud cover, a cool morning. Saw a couple of fish chase in a cove. So we picked up the buzzbait and started throwing it. Man, there's not much more of a fun way to catch them than on a top water buzzbait. And they are eating it good. Nice one. He came up and got it. That's the other beauty of throwing this thing, man. You can cover so much water with it. That fish was just kind of out there. He may have followed it, but he was just kind of out there. And they're eating it good now. I'm not even having to catch them on the trailer hook, but that fish right there will not be long from being on the bed. He's fanning already. See his tail? Let him go do it. Yes, sir. Right where he was supposed to be. Came by a piece of wood and he absolutely creamed it. I'm starting to get used to the bite now too. I'm waiting just a little bit and not pulling it out of their mouths as much. But that's a pretty good fish right there. And they're all fat and healthy too. That's cool. Catching them in a pond like this were clearly managed well and managed right when they look like that. So he was not coming off. See, sometimes that hook that'll be all you have and they hit it in the side. Things worth having on there. Pretty fish. Oh yeah, man, he annihilated. Man, that is fun when they do that. He just like toilet flushed it's what I call that. Oh, get out of that tree. There's a tree right there. Didn't see it. Oh, he's in it too. I got this heavier line on here. I'm hoping I can just manhandle him out of there, but I can't. Yep, I got him. Yep. Come here, buddy. Yes, sir. Yep, I really don't need the trailer right now the way they're hitting, but we're not gonna take it off. That's for sure. But this fish is kind of beat up right there. It's either already been on the bed or it's getting ready to go on it. But that's a nice fish. and just whoosh, kind of flushed it. That was awesome. There he is. Not quite as big, but he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Exactly. Man, this is so much fun. So much fun watching them come up and hit like this. Okay. And that one had it on the front hook too. He was not coming off. He crunched it. Oh, what's up, buddy? You're a bad dude, aren't you? So what happened, we got on this bank, it was really windy. I told Alex that little subtle buzz bait might not be enough. So we started throwing a red-eye shad, a rattling bait, till we get out of this wind again. But we're gonna throw it a little bit and see what happens. Again, taking what the conditions give you and working with them instead of trying to make them bite what you think they ought to. You know, go with what you got and be smart about it. There he is. Man, they are in here on this windy bank. And it's just a little too windy for the buzzbait. Ooh, that's a nice one, Alex. A little too windy for the buzzbait, so we started throwing a rattling bait. And God, did he ever choke it. He choked it good. I'll let you have fun, brother. I will love to let you have fun. Big old fatty. And you know when they're eating it, I don't know if y'all can see that, when they're eating it like that, that means you're throwing the right thing. You got it way down in there. Be real careful with them when they're like that. You can catch them like that and squeeze the side of their gill plate, and I think I'm throwing the right thing right there. Well, that's a good fish right there, Alex. That's a really good fish. This one right here got some weight to it. Up there feeding on the brim. Whoa! Oh. I might rather be at the office taking phone calls than doing this today. What do you think? This fish right here crunched it. I mean, crunched it. And it's a nice one too. I mean, it's a nice one. It just goes to show you, you know, you're doing something that's working pretty good, but if you get a gut feeling, hey, it's changing a little bit, you know, try something a little different, don't be afraid to go with that. And we've been kind of rewarded doing it with this bait right here. We were catching them good on the buzz bait, but these fish right here have definitely been a lot bigger. A lot bigger. Man, that's a nice one. See how he ate it? Yeah. That's probably 4.5 pounder getting ready to bed, but clearly not on the bed. That's the other thing for today. We really went away from what we started doing. We thought they'd be on the bed, and clearly these nicer fish are still way off the bank, so we're gonna let her go and get real big. One of the things you really want to be aware of, unless it's just really hot summer or really cold winter, if you get a day like we've gotten today, overcast, a little bit of wind, a little bit cooler, typically that's going to make the fish more aggressive. Typically it's a lower barometer, and so you want to use moving baits. Like today, all day almost, we've thrown either a buzz bait, a worm I'm working really fast, or that red-eye shad, that rattling bait. And until they get off of that, you want to keep doing it. You want to keep throwing these kind of baits when it's cloudy. Now the wind may die, the sun may get out a little bit more, we may have to change what we're doing. But as long as you can take advantage of these kind of moving baits, you can cover so much water so much quicker that it gives you an advantage to catching more fish. So as long as you can keep doing it, man, keep doing it. That's what we're gonna try for a while longer now. I don't know how y'all are, but I love new things. I'm actually really excited about the new season that we're starting, season 3 of Tightline, and we got some really great shows coming for you guys, some neat stuff that we've not done before. I also really enjoy going to new lakes. This lake that we were on today was new for me. We kind of came in thinking we were going to do one thing and figured out we could do some different stuff and catch them. I love that new thing. I also love opening new baits if you're a fisherman. Even the smell of opening those packs of worms is a pretty cool thing. And new things are always awesome to me. You know, a new car, a new job, going new places. New things are always a lot of fun and can be really, really cool. One of the cool qualities to me about God, though, is something that it talks about in Scripture that's new every day. And it's from a book called Lamentations. It's Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 through 24. And this verse of Scripture is really encouraging to me. This is what it says. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore, I will hope in Him. How cool is it that God's mercies in our lives are new every morning? Now, whether that's literal or not, or whether He's telling us, man, my mercies are there for you all the time, that's really awesome to me. Because I, as a human being, as a sinful, fallen person, you know, I mess up all the time. And the bad part is the enemy wants to always remind you of those things. Man, you did this wrong, or you did that wrong, or how can they think you're a Christ follower when you had this stuff going on in your past? And I always have to remind myself that God's mercies are new every morning. His mercies never, ever end. His love for us never ends. And so I just want to encourage you guys' hearts in that today. And maybe it's hard for you to realize that because you don't know anything about His mercies. You don't have a relationship with Him. You don't have Him living in your heart. And if that's the case with you today and you'd like to ask Christ into your heart for the first time and know what His mercies are like, it's really simple. You just ask Him to forgive you of your sins. Tell Him you believe what He did for you on the cross when He died for you, and ask Him to come and live in your heart and be Lord of your life. Thanks so much for listening today, and God bless you. Hey guys, what we do at Go Fish Ministries is share the gospel and encourage believers in their walk with Christ. We do this through a variety of events such as wild game dinners, kids camps, men's events, music events, or even if you or someone you know just needs a day on the water. Go Fish Ministries wants to point you toward Jesus and help you know Him better. Contact us through our website. We'd love to serve you any way we can. God bless you and go fish.
You know, when I look at the tournaments I've won, probably 4 or 5 of the boats that I've won have been on a tube. But I'd completely gotten away from flipping a tube because nobody made one soft enough.
Big Bite has come with this new tour series of baits. The thing that's probably the most unique is when you look at that bait, the salt just rolls out of it. And to me, that is the reason a fish bites a tube and hangs on to it. This isn't one of those let's go out and catch some smallmouth tube. This is a let's get it done tube.
Whether or not you fish a buzzbait a lot, it's a really effective bait. But most of the time its effectiveness is limited to shallow water. You can catch them in deeper water if it's really clear. But typically you're going to be doing like we're doing today, throwing up in real shallow around cover and stuff. Unless you're in a situation where you see a bunch of fish blowing up on bait. Boy, he was a man, wasn't he? I think I'm gonna hit that thing about half my size. The other thing we're noticing, or I've noticed, is that the further way in the back of the lake we get, the smaller they get. And the further toward, now we didn't have to be in deep water, but we had to be near deep water. The fish were bigger, which tells me they're not quite moved up yet, but even those kind are fun. But what I was saying is, you want to try to fish it around. It'll come over most anything. That's the beauty of it. Fishing around shallow stuff most of the time, but sometimes it's key to be sitting not in 2 foot throwing into 2 foot, but sitting in 6 or 8 foot throwing into 2 foot. Those bigger fish are coming up and eating. Oh! That was so cool. And he's not very big, I don't think, but boy, did he ever cream it. He creamed it. It just doesn't get a whole lot funner than that, even on not giant fish, because I saw him coming from about 6 yards to the side, and he just was having him some of that. Now I got him. If I didn't have that trailer hook, see, I wouldn't have caught that fish, even as hard as he hit it, but that was all I had him on. But they're nice. Look how fat that fish is. Yeah, man, that was a nice fish. We saw him roll in there on it. And I don't know, maybe he may be on a bed up there, but I just threw that buzzbait up there. He obliged me, and I appreciated it. And then he got me wet. But look, had I not had that trailer hook, I probably wouldn't have caught that fish. Got him right under the chin. And I think this one came back around and got him. That was pretty old cool right there. I'm off in left field thinking about these logs out here, and one just come up and tried to take it away from me. That's a nice fish too. It's just starting to get a little sunny. We're wondering if we ought to put it down, and just about the time we question that, one hits it. And he just kind of came up and barely sucked it. And you see, again, the importance of that trailer hook. But that's a nice one. When you're throwing a buzzbait, it's a reaction bait. In other words, you don't want them to get a good look at it, but there are different kinds you can use for different scenarios. Today we're pretty clear water, not a lot of wind, so I downsized my buzzbait. Kind of a subtle, it's a chartreuse and white. It's not real subtle, but sort of a subtle color. But if you're fishing in real dirty water or darker, you want a darker color bait. It sounds unusual, but fish feed by silhouette, and that black makes a better silhouette. So on dark days or muddy water, a black's better. A little bit later in the day, the wind picked up really heavy again, so we started throwing rattle baits again. I can't tell, golly, I can see him down there, so big. And so in the middle of that fish fighting, the memory card on our camera filled up, so you might have missed a little of that, but boy, that's a fat 4-pounder, 3 3/4. But there was one with him just as big. That's real cool when you on a windy day like today and you see that happening. These fish are probably grouped up. So we're gonna get back out there and see if we can catch another one, or 3 or 4 that size. It's not a giant, but it's a pretty decent one. And so that's kind of how we've ended up the day, is catching them on rattle traps or rattle baits on a windy bank. And that's a great way to catch them in the springtime pre-spawn. And my goodness, when they're eating it like that, you know you're throwing the right bait. Look at him. And I think, fortunately, I don't think that, at least the front hook doesn't have him very good. Hey, we've had a great time fishing today. Caught them a variety of different ways. Didn't really catch them like we thought we were going to, but a lot of times that's the way fishing is. Caught them on a trick worm early, and then a buzzbait, and then later in the day on a rattle trap. Those are all great springtime baits. So thanks so much for being with us this week, and join us next time.